Secondly, I'm not a fan of it because I feel like I'm announcing to people that, hey, I'm coming in 3 weeks at this price. And then all of my competitors that may be coming on the market are saying, oh, look, they're going to come in at this price. Why don't we undercut them and then come in right before them? And then so we're announcing to people that, hey, this is what we're coming in at, but not for 3 weeks.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Shawn and Matt Show. My name is Matt. That is Shawn. And welcome to our show. You know, Shawn, I watch YouTube at 2 times speed. So then whenever I'm on camera, sometimes I need to slow it down, take a deep breath, and talk like a normal human being.
Yeah, especially now that you're getting older.
Yeah.
Friend. Yeah. Big boy turned, well, we won't say his age, but happy birthday, my friend.
I will say it.
Okay.
I turned 31.
31.
And I feel great. I haven't felt great for the latter part of most of this year so far, dealing with an injury, but I feel fantastic.
Looking good, my friend.
I think people underestimate stretching by far.
Guarantee. I know that I don't stretch. I never stretch. Even like I'll stretch a little bit before we play golf or something, and then I feel my everything. I'm like, I need to stretch more often, especially the hamstrings.
Well, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about coming soon listings and comparable properties. This is notes and stories from the field. And let's start with coming soon listings. Coming soon listings are a thorn in real estate agents' sides. Shawn will go into detail. Essentially what they are is you put a property on coming soon. You can have that property, assuming it's not new construction, assuming it's built on coming soon for 21 days. And then at that point, it goes active. The thought process being, okay, hey, look at this new property that came on. I'm getting excited. You know, there's a countdown for it. There's going to be an open house. I can't wait to see it. And, you know, maybe the sellers have kids in school, or maybe it's not, maybe it's picture ready, but it's not show ready. So the end goal is to build up all this momentum, and then once it turns active, that's the time when people are able to see the property. Shawn, how do you think the coming soon listing works in theory, and then what are you seeing and how are you seeing it work in reality?
Yeah, so the coming soon listings were brought out to protect the consumer, right?
Is the consumer the buyer or the seller or both?
I think it was both. I think it was more protecting the seller from listing agents that were doing what were called pocket listings, right? They wanted to stop pocket listings, which is, hey, I have a listing. I start marketing it on the side or to my people, and I get the buyer as well as the seller and sell it in-house. So was that doing the best for the seller? Was that in the seller's best interest? In my opinion, no, because if you go to market, you're going to get the best offer, right? So I think that's why it was brought about. Now, one thing that I hated about it was the fact that I can't tell anybody except my office maybe about anything that I have coming soon, which I used to do all the time. That was part of our marketing strategy when we put out flyers. Hey, we got this, and this coming soon. And you know, you get some calls based on that.
So one of the rules, the reason Shawn can't do that is as soon as you advertise a property, that property needs to be in the MLS 1 day after you advertise it. So Shawn can't send out a direct mail flyer to Liberty Center or some of these buildings and say, hey, next month we have this coming on, because that is marketing to the public. And then that is what they are trying to discourage, is realtors that are just have these listings, you know, behind a wall, if you will, and they're not, you know, allowing the public to view them.
Yeah, and I've never really been a fan of coming soon listings, to be honest. First of all, I'm never putting out a coming soon listing without pictures. If I don't have my full marketing together, I'm not putting out a blank listing with no pictures.
So get this, coming soon listings don't, you have to have a picture. So okay. There's no way you can upload it without a picture, but what some people do is they upload one picture and then it says photo coming soon. It's just like a text. Or what they do, and what people say, is to go and just take a photo with your cell phone as just a filler until the professional photos are ready.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm professional photos no matter what. I'm not putting anything out there beforehand. And secondly, I'm not a fan of it because I feel like I'm announcing to people that, hey, I'm coming in 3 weeks at this price. And then all of my competitors that may be coming on the market are saying, oh, look, they're going to come in at this price. Why don't we undercut them and then come in right before them? And then so we're announcing to people that, hey, this is what we're coming in at, but not for 3 weeks, right? I just feel like as representing a seller, I'm coming straight on the market, bang, with all of my marketing strong. I feel like Coming Soon does nothing in certain markets. It does nothing but announce and give people kind of a leeway to kind of go in on the
What is
side.
the benefit of the seller for doing a Coming Soon listing?
I guess they would argue that, hey, you're getting the word out there to other people, to buyers, so that if they're looking at something else, they might say, oh, well, let's wait for this to come on so that we could see it then. So I could see that side of it where it's like, hey, now more people know about it and they were going to buy something else, but now they might be interested in ours. That could be the one benefit. The downside I see is that you're announcing to everybody, hey, I'm listing this, and all those other people that are thinking of listing are going to try to come in under you or quicker.
And what do you think the benefit is to the buyer of the Coming Soon listing?
All right. So to the buyer, you're going to know now that something is coming soon, so you can try to get in there the day it lists, right? So we know if you are set up in our system, then you as a buyer are going to get Coming Soon listings before the public sees them. And so that is announcing to the buyers that are set up in our system that, hey, this is coming soon, but the general public doesn't know that it is coming. So you have, forewarning and can prepare.
I think one of the benefits of the buyer is sometimes these properties will come on at, Thursday at like 3 or 4 p.m., and then the buyers will be scrambling like, oh my gosh, this one just came on. I need to see it like in the next hour. Where if it was a Coming Soon listing, you have this 2 or 3 week period where you can say, hey, 2 weeks from now on Thursday, let's time block this exact time. And then you can schedule around it as opposed to just rushing. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Coming Soon listings. So Shawn, what are the downsides, would you say, of listing your property coming soon?
You want to get into the meat now? And
Yeah.
This is why I'm against Coming
Let's do
Soon
it.
listings, because we are in a super, super hot market. And a market, I've been doing this 19 years. I've never seen a market like this. In 2004 or 5, it was crazy. This is insanity. And so what is happening now is that I'm sending my clients Coming Soon listings, and I'll talk to the listing agent and say, hey, we definitely want to see this. Is there any, what agents will say is there any way we can get in early? And some people are doing that. Now, the rules are that once you go Coming Soon, you cannot show it to anybody and if you do, you have to go active, right? But what's happening now in this super aggressive market is that as soon as something comes Coming Soon, there are people writing on these properties sight unseen, right? Whether they're sight unseen or they got a video from an owner or they got a secret, tour or whatever, they are now taking these listings off of the market without ever going active. And whether these buyers are putting in a 12-hour contingency after they see it or whatever they're doing, and they're writing these crazy offers, it is one thing making buyers angry because there's no real rule for this anymore. Now, people can just go sight unseen and take it off the market. And in my opinion, again, you're doing a disservice to your seller, probably, because we are seeing contracts now on single family and townhouse listings that are insane. And reality is, if that person tried to take it off the market in a Coming Soon status and gave you this fabulous offer, they can wait a week, but when it comes on, and they're probably going to put in a better offer. And not only that, you're probably going to get 15 to 20 other offers that might beat that out. And I can give you example after example of listings that I was like, I don't think I'll get above X, and I ended up getting way above that. And I talk to agents every day, and they're like, I put a bid in $150,000 over asking. I thought we had a shoe in, and we didn't win. We were not the highest bidder. So agents that might not know or might not care, honestly, they're out there as well. I think most of the agents that we know are really good people and are out for the seller's best interest. But there could be people out there that just want to get the sale done, right? But secondly, you also have to know what the seller is looking for. And maybe that seller doesn't want a ton of people trudging through their house for a whole weekend, right? So you really have to kind of figure out what it is that they want. But what I'm seeing and what is frustrating I know for a lot of people is that these coming soon listings are coming up and they're gone before they ever hit the market.
Yeah, and all of this is done to with the seller's best interest in mind. How, and the reality is BrightMLS doesn't know the seller's best interest, right? Yeah. However, if a property comes on Coming Soon, it's a really hot property, they accept a pre-market sales contract, sight unseen, for $50,000 over, the seller's ecstatic. Did the listing agent do a disservice if that property would have gotten $100,000 or $150,000 over? Because at the end of the day, price can be the motivating factor. A lot of times it is, and a lot of times it isn't. A lot of times at a certain price point, it doesn't make sense to wait another week and get all these deadlines. Wait another week and bring the kids out and bring the dogs out and all of that. So at what point is the listing agent doing a disservice to the seller?
Yeah, and it really depends on if it's money. If it's a money standpoint, I think it's a disservice because you probably could have gotten more. But if
the seller's happy, they're ecstatic. They love it.
Would they be more ecstatic if they had another $50,000? Probably.
They don't know that.
They don't know that, but you do. You don't know that, but you have that intuition that you probably could have, right? I don't know.
The unknown.
That's true. This could be the best offer, and sometimes that's the case. You could have just, but I believe that if you're not hitting the market, you're not giving a true representation of what you could have gotten. However, I mean, people have lost and lost and lost, and now they know what it takes to get it. So
okay, let me ask you this. You had mentioned receiving a video tour or walkthrough or something like that before. Let's say there's one exterior photo for this Coming Soon listing, and the potential buyer knows this. I saw this exact scenario, I think, in the Echo Title Facebook group, where the buyer knows the seller's daughter. Mm-hmm. Seller's daughter takes a video of the property and then sends it to the potential buyer as like a walkthrough tour. Do you think that constitutes a showing?
That's actually a
because
good
if
question.
It does, then they need to go on the market, and if they don't go on the market, then they're in violation of the Bright rules and regulations.
I never thought of it in that way. I was thinking, hey, whatever advantage, and honestly, as a listing agent, I'm thinking one way, and as a buyer's agent, I'm thinking another way, because naturally, as a buyer, you're trying to use every resource that you have to get your buyer that advantage, right? And so you use that to your advantage. Is that a showing? That's a virtual showing, maybe, right? I mean, but is it? It's just part of them. I don't know. That's a tough one.
I don't know. I'd have to look at the definition of a showing.
Yeah, because it's not a showing. You're not in the property. It's not a virtual showing because you're not, unless she was FaceTiming them or something, right?
They're not talking. It's so like an emailed video.
That is just.
Is that two friends just talking real estate?
Yeah, that's I don't know. It is. I don't think it's a violation of anything. And if it was my buyer and me, I'd be happy to get it. But if you're representing the seller and trying to get the best offer, I don't know that that's the best route.
So that's a virtual showing or potentially. But how prevalent is it, do you think, that agents are touring and allowing tours during the Coming Soon status?
I think it's more prevalent than we think. I think they're out there. I've definitely inquired sometimes in the past and was able to get it. Like, he's like, yeah, go for it. And I was like, okay, I didn't think that you were allowing that. And if it was my listing, personally, I'm a rule follower, and I'm not letting anybody in there.
So you asked the agent if you're able to get in the property.
I did.
Can you think of any other scenario where you ask the other agent to break the rules of the MLS?
No. Yeah, I know. But people are willing to do it. And is that a violation of mine? I don't think so. Am I asking them to break the rules? Because if they show it to me, then they have to show. It's up to them to break the rules. Right?
So, I guess I'll reframe it. Mm-hmm. You're under the assumption that as soon as they say yes, and as soon as you tour it, that it's going to go on the market the next day. Yeah. Because that's the only way it's legal. They can show. Wait, can they show it? If they show it to you, then they have to go on the market the next day.
Right.
or they can't show it in Coming Soon. See, now I'm just talking in circles, confusing myself.
They can't show it in Coming Soon. If they show it, they have to go on within 24 hours. I
Okay.
believe that's the rule. I mean, you show it to one person, then you have to open it up to everybody else. But I mean, there's definitely people that aren't following that rule. Why? I don't know. I mean, but that's the problem now. So when you're representing a buyer, and your buyer is relying on you to see this house, and you say, listen, it's not coming for 3 more weeks. We have some time. I'll talk to the listing agent. And usually it's not like, I'll be like, hey, are you allowing showings? Like, can you please let me know the first time you're going to allow a showing? That's really what I say. And they're like, oh, we're not going to show it, blah, blah, blah. And then the next day it's gone. What happened was they got a sight unseen offer, and it was an awesome offer, and they took it off the market. And so now I'm frustrated. I look like, oh, I didn't do my buyers a service. My buyers are frustrated because they didn't get into the property. And it's a frustrating thing. So naturally, I'm not going to lose a buyer because I'm not doing my due diligence. So I'm going to do my due diligence to try to keep my buyer happy. But you know, if that seller's agent wants to break the rules, that's up to them.
Would you ever foresee a scenario where sight unseen offers or offers during the Coming Soon status were not allowed?
I mean, I don't know how you can enforce it, but I don't think they should be allowed. I think, first of all, you're putting the buyer in a really bad situation.
So you don't think sight unseen offers should be allowed?
I don't know. I mean, it's a gray area. I mean, what would be the disadvantage of a sight unseen offer? If it was what buyers are doing right now, no home inspection, no nothing, no whatever, and they write an offer that is non-contingent and they finally see it, and say they have no contingencies, right? There's no HOA. They waive their home inspection, they waive their finance, they waive their appraisal. They write an awesome sight unseen offer, and then they go into the property and they hate it, right? That buyer is screwed. Can they get out of the contract? Probably. You know, they'll just put it on the market a couple days later. You know, I've seen this happen where the seller, but if you get the wrong seller in there, you get that lawyer that's like, nope, come here.
Take the EMD.
Take the EMD. We're suing, right? So I'm not encouraging my buyers to do that.
What's the solution for the Coming Soon issues that we're seeing?
Stop Coming Soon listings and let's just go active again, right? I mean, what's the sense? I mean, I get it in some instances, but I don't. What is worse, a pocket listing or now I think the problem is we are now in a crazy market. We're in a market that we never foresaw, right? So is the Coming Soon listing still? Should it still be there, right? I mean, because it's causing problems. If you would just go active. Or just say to your client, listen, what I tell my clients, like, listen, we are in an overly crazy seller's market for single families and for townhouses. If you're going to list your property, you're going to have a ton of people coming through here. Go away for the weekend because you're not going to be in this house the whole weekend. So just go away, right? If you don't tell your clients that and they're not prepared for that, they're going to get very tired. And I saw this happen out in a listing that I was seeing, and the agent was like, we've had so many showings. My clients are just already tired within 48 hours. They were tired, and they said, just send us an offer. We might take it off the market, right? So really, you have to know what your seller wants. Sometimes it's not the highest price. Sometimes it's not the cleanest offer. Sometimes it's some other motivating factor. And so that is how you're representing your seller in the best way.
Well said. You know what would be a really cool value add as a listing agent for your sellers? Book them an Airbnb for the weekend. I mean, obviously, like, you know, make sure that their schedule is clear or not. That, you know, if they're hanging out in Airbnb, you're doing an open house, everyone wins.
Yeah. Then you have a boatload of offers when they come back. I mean, that's awesome.
Cherry on top. That's service right there. Okay, so our second topic is comparable properties. You know, Shawn, there was a time where I would research heavily the comparable properties right before we wrote an offer in terms of, you know, list price, sales price, days on market, this square footage, that square footage. I'm finding myself not doing that too often when I'm writing against 20 other contracts because the reality is buyers are competing against contracts, not comparable properties. If you look at comparable properties, you are going to lose. So on the buyer and on the seller side, let's start with the buyer side. do comparable properties matter? And if they still do, how much do they matter?
They matter much less now. I think they're still going to matter to get a starting point probably. But if you look at comps last month and you look at them this month, they're going to be totally different. And, sometimes like I'll go back 6 months. The norm thing is to go back 6 months to see what the values are. 6 months ago is completely different from today. And so appraisers better be looking at the last couple of weeks, if not sooner, to get the real idea there. So I think comparables on a buy side will give you, if you're looking at the latest one, they'll give you a starting point. But really, it's how high are you willing to go for this property? What are you really willing to risk? If you're waiving that appraisal, you better have your financing in order so that you can actually do that. So I think they still matter in a way, but there's so much less,
Yeah. How do you avoid, being the most expensive house in the neighborhood or being, $100,000 higher than your neighbor that has a similar house? Is that avoidable?
So I think that what you do is, I personally would not price something at, say the comps are saying 500 and this house goes for 600. I'm probably not advising my client to now price it at 600 because the market took that. So what you want to probably do is price it somewhere in between, let the market take it again. That's where you're going to get your best offers. The worst thing you can do in an awesome market like that is overprice your property. The market's going to take it, so let it take it.
Let's talk about the seller's side. Is it possible to underprice a listing right now?
Depends on what you're pricing, but a single family townhouse, I don't think it's possible, honestly, because like we've seen in some instances, like if you price it super low, you're going to get 75 offers or 100 offers and 75 of them are all cash, right? I mean, it really doesn't matter in this market where you price it, in my opinion, because people are going to look at their comps. I think you at least try to get close, right? Try to get close to that listing price because you never know. You underprice it way too far. People might feel like, oh, wait, I'm going, $250,000 above asking. That might feel weird, right? So get it to a close point. But again, comps, hey, here's what your neighbor sold for a couple months ago, but like the market's insane. So, I'm showing houses in different neighborhoods and, I'll, if somebody has it under contract, I'll call that listing agent and try to get some information from them. And a lot of times they'll share the information. And sometimes I've talked to people where their team got it under contract and their price is way lower than the market value of something else that went on the market. So anyways, there's huge disparities in these market values now. And so I think comps don't really matter as much anymore in some instances, right?
Yeah, if you're a seller and your neighbor's house escalates for $200,000 over, that's not necessarily, at a overarching view, you could say that's the market now, but if you price it there, you might run into some issues. Now, what Australia does, you know what they do down there? Lots of auctions. So get this, they'll bring people out to the property, and if you bid on a property, you're waiving all contingencies. It's like if you win the auction, it's your property. So no contingencies. There is I believe, an undisclosed minimum amount. And if it doesn't reach that amount, then they list the property on the market.
Right.
So imagine, and of course there's no buyer's agent in Australia. So these are just the buyers that are coming to do this. So imagine if properties in Arlington were, bid on auction style where the buyers are there in person bidding on these properties, and then if it doesn't meet the price, then they come to the market.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's the way it's going right now. It's basically, you could price it anywhere lower than normal. And whoops, I think I just answered that call. Sorry.
Yeah, the other person's just gonna listen to our entire conversation.
But yeah, auctions. I think auctions are a little scarier, but it's basically what we're doing right now.
But we are doing it. An escalation clause is a blind auction, is it not? It's the same thing. It's just on a piece of paper.
It really is. And a lot of buyers, are, when they ask, like, how does an escalation clause work? I'm like, listen, you're showing all your cards.
You ever gone on eBay?
You're showing, it's like you're showing all your cards, man. Like
eBay invented the escalation clause.
Yeah, that's it.
Nothing new.
What are you willing to go up to? And the seller's going to see it. So, you got to be okay with that top price. Crazy.
I still can't believe that. Oh, I guess I can believe it. That escalation clauses are not legal in some states. Like maybe Texas. So if I'm wrong, I'll just put that on YouTube. But some agents don't use them in our area, and then they're illegal in some states.
Yeah. So what are they doing? Are they just saying highest
Best
and best?
yeah,
I hate that,
yeah.
man. It's so hard to come up with the highest and best. Just like
it's like you can get more money doing it this way.
I think so. Yep.
Well, guys, really interested to know your thoughts on coming soon listings as well as comparable properties. We need to be careful because if we're saying comparable properties don't matter anymore, what does that say about the real estate market? So they do matter a little bit, but we need to understand that it's not where it used to be. We're in a unique market right now, and pricing on the seller side is more imperative than ever. And on the buyer side, I just watched a clip with Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger on when is the best time to buy a house. And they said, this was 1997. Warren Buffett said the best time to buy a house is when you need a house.
That's it.
That's it.
Really good advice.
So it's not interest rates. It's not your doggy coin going up by $1 million and you have more money now. It's
and that's what we tell people.
When you need a house.
Listen, don't try to time the market. Buy when you need to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happiness over everything.
That's right.
Not gonna be happy in a house that you don't love. Cool, guys. Well, if you have any questions, definitely drop them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Take care.